Right, so welcome to All for United. Once again, we are live after what is I would say, a decent result against our rivals. As you can see, we're a little bit short of guests today, so it's just me and Mr. Commode, which will do our very best. So we're going to need the comment section today. Lots of questions, lots of answers. We're sort of just going to run through the game. So I watched the game today, and I made notes as I was watching the game. So we're just going to look back at what nonsense I wrote and go over the sort of stuff that happened. We'll start by asking John what he made of the lineup first before we start talking about the game. If he was happy, surprised, some would say predictable. But yeah, so what did you make of the starting 11, John?
Yeah, I thought the lineup was welcome. Good to be back on after several weeks anyway. So hello to everyone. And so basically, the lineup I think self-evidently picked itself. Obviously, we knew most of our centre halves were injured: Varane, Lindelof, Martinez. So Maguire and Campbell, unless someone miraculously came back to fitness, was always going to be a central partnership. I think that probably the one person who played who you perhaps might not have been expected to was Casemiro, because obviously he pulled up in midweek at Chelsea. But aside from that, and obviously there was a question mark about Rashford, whether he'd start, because obviously he was dropped to the bench at Chelsea. Anthony came in for him, and in credit to Anthony, he had a very good game on Thursday night. So it wouldn't have surprised me if he went with the same lineup, the same intensity, because overall, while it was chaotic towards the end against Chelsea, overall, you'd say you would probably play quite well for most of that game. So perhaps he might have gone with that forward line, but no, he brought Rashford back. And
it's a question we asked yesterday, John. Is that what you would have done?
I personally would have gone with as much as the same team as Chelsea, because aside from all the injured players, simply because I don't think it was a really bad ending. And obviously it's highlighted the issues again this season about us closing games out. But overall, that team did do well Thursday night. That team did get us back from 2-0 down to 3-2. So for me, I personally would have liked to have seen the closest starting 11 to that. However, I think that
the man dropped in.
But I think when
hello, is it working?
It is working.
Yes.
Oh, it's not working very well because I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
That's a nightmare. I was literally just going to come on and can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Smashing. I can't hear a word you're saying. But I thought as you're on your Todd, I've made it into these lovely service station here, that I'll nip on and just tell you what it is like being at Old Trafford when you draw 2-2 against the nasty Liverpool. I'll tell you something, boys. That was a really weird atmosphere at 2-1. Really, really weird. Because as soon as that penalty went in, there was like this element of nerves. I think, having seen it all before, you could just feel it palpable in the air. But my God, for me, 2-2 against Liverpool in the league, I'd absolutely take that every single day of the week. That was unbelievable. The 2 goals as well. That equaliser from Bruno. I mean, I'll put in the chat, better than Beck's. I don't think Dan agrees, but what do you reckon, John? Not a shake of the head, because I can't hear a word that's being said here.
We're going for no.
I didn't think it was either, but you've got to try and get traffic somehow, haven't you? Even if it's just to get somebody coming and say no. Love it, he's doing sign language.
The second was better.
So really good equaliser there. And Cobby, my God, what an equaliser, what a goal that was. Curling that one into the top. It's funny, so I was talking to my nephew earlier, I said this to Dan, and he said, the Kevin De Bruyne goal yesterday, he said, who have we got in our club who could do that? And Cobby was one of the names that I mentioned. And just superb. Such a really, really good goal. So, do you know what? It was tough. I think it was a tricky game, tough game. We started so well in that first half. If that offside goal, it gave me Leah Goulton vibes in the FA Cup final for the women. Getting the goal so early, we were all like, yes. And then, obviously, it was disallowed, and rightly so by the sounds of things. But yeah, absolutely superb. So really enjoyed that. I'm sorry I can't hear you guys, so I'll duck out again now. But just thought it'd be really nice to drop in as soon as I was leaving you two on the trot. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so because it's really helpful. Well done, PJ, predicting 2-2. Good job. And I can't wait to see you all during the week. What have we got coming up? Is it Thursday? It'll be Thursday probably because we've got a game on Saturday. So Thursday night we'll be back. Everything will be back to normal. And I've got 2 hours to go and drive for. So nice to see you on again, John. Take care, everyone, and have a cracking evening with these two cracking chats. See you later, everyone.
I love it. Barry's drive-by.
Yeah, the Barry Express.
The Barry Express. I bet he's buzzing, to be fair, because he got tickets late. So that's obviously why he wasn't on last night's show. Because the person, I think his nephew would come up, and he was going with his nephew. So to go and see it today and against Liverpool, and not a bad result, like he says. It's not too shabby. So yeah, we'll start talking about the game then, since Barry's passed us that way. So 2 minutes in, Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, goal. Did you know straight away it was offside, or was you a bit?
I did do a little cheer when he put it in, but I kind of knew it was offside. So yeah, it was just one of those rather than a get in kind of thing. But yeah, I kind of I had a feeling it was offside, unfortunately, but it was much like Garnacho's goal at Arsenal, wasn't it? I think it was tighter than what I initially thought, but it was just offside, I think. But
I blame Bruno with the most respect to Bruno, because I love Bruno, but just he takes an extra touch. If he just plays it a little bit quicker, it's the best start you could possibly imagine against the Liverpool team. Who, to be fair, my brother was on the show yesterday giving the opposition fan, because obviously, unfortunately, he's a Liverpool fan, and he said the same thing. Liverpool tend to start slow in the first 10 minutes. There'll be a chance of a goal, and if we could have just got that pass away quicker, then that would have been a good one. He's put here best lineup given the injuries, which I think is a fair shout.
Yeah, I think so. No, that's what I was saying that before Barry came in, that I thought Rashford coming out, I think there would have been merit in maybe starting Anthony instead of Rashford, because like I say, that front line played pretty well Thursday night. But I think the way Ten Hag spoke about resting Rashford with game Liverpool coming up, I think he was probably always going to play Rashford this game. And I did say that I felt that I would have dropped Rashford for one of these games, or, because we had 2 tough games coming up, you did have to rotate a little bit if you could, because there are 2 mass games. Obviously, the game in front of you is always the most important, but the way I thought of it, we could have still won at Chelsea, even if Rashford didn't start, whereas to beat Liverpool, I felt Rashford would have to start and play well, although he did come off when it was 1-1, didn't he? So it was, but I wouldn't say I was surprised, but it was certainly probably the thing that was up for debate, I think.
Yeah, PJ saying Anthony should have started. I'm going to argue the toss for Rashford in the sense that maybe what swung it for Rashford starting is his big six record is actually quite good. He normally does turn up in the big games. You can and ah about his form this season. The thing I would say is Anthony's got 1 assist this season. That was against Chelsea. So it was open for thingy. But honestly, I thought Anthony did really well when he came on as well. So I'm glad that he did it the way round he did it. So then we'll move on to the next bit. The next thing I've got written down on this is excellent strong hand save from Onana. And I think it was from Szoboszlai. That was a good save.
Very good save, because I thought when it was put through, it's like, we're going to go 1-0 down. And I remember the 5-0 game 2 years ago when I think Bruno missed a great chance early on, and then they went the other end and scored after 5 minutes, and then obviously we capitulated. So I was kind of thinking with that Garnacho opener that was offside, I was thinking, oh gosh, they're going to score and they're going to walk away with it. But in fairness to Onana, it was a brilliant save from him, and I think it shows he is improving Onana. I think the commentator in the USA said Szoboszlai early in the season probably would have buried that. But I think also Onana wouldn't have saved it early
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
season. So in a way, I think it was an important save, and obviously we'll discuss the first half in more detail, but it was a very significant moment in the game, even though it was the first 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and then I've got written down, and I'm glad I've written this down because there's something else that happened a little bit later on. So I'm going to sort of read this and then jump to that bit and then join them together. So I've obviously wrote this in the heat of the moment as I'm watching it. So some of this I may have calmed down afterwards and might not make sense. But this is what I was feeling at the time. So I put here Bradley, yellow for a shocking tackle on Rashford. Could have easily been red. Height of the challenge may have saved him, but it was really reckless. And the reason why I'm going to skip to another part is because Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher really annoyed me with this. So Casemiro goes in really, really late. And I put Casemiro with a stupid tackle, free kick to Liverpool, last kick of the game. Nevin Carragher mentioning straight away it could have been a red if it was higher. Well, they never said that when it was Bradley. And Bradley absolutely wiped out Rashford. If I'm remembering the tackle right, it was really late and naughty. So it's a little bit annoying that the commentators pick up on that, but then they don't pick up on they pick up on the Casemiro one, but not the Bradley one.
If you remember, I think as our commentators have him for Casemiro. The last time I was on was, I think it was after the Luton game. You remember?
This is what I've got to start doing, John.
I tend to. I mean, thankfully, I'm in the US, so I have to avoid those pillocks on the TV. Okay, but it's. I Neville annoys me on commentary. To be honest, he's too neutral.
He's so his attempt to be so neutral really grates because Carragher is in no way neutral.
No.
And do you know what I mean? And Neville, he just grates because he tries to be so neutral. What did you make of the tackle? Do you think that it was borderline, wasn't it? I think a little bit higher from Bradley.
The Bradley one, you mean?
Yeah, a little bit higher. He could have been in trouble.
Borderline. It was a yellow card. I don't have any. And it's United versus Liverpool. You want to see. We did a few flying tackles. Even Rashford himself did a couple of flying tackles, and it was It was raining at times during the first half, so when it's a rivalry now, you kind of want to see some tough tackles, and we didn't win it. I don't think it was particularly malicious. I'm not a fan of defending Liverpool players, but I didn't look at it and think, oh, that's a red card. No, I just think it was. No, it was a yellow card, and
he's doing that thing that footballers do. He's leaving a foot in, letting him know he's there early, and that's fine. I'm going to just get rid of some of these starred comments because I do this quite a lot when Barry's hosting. I just star and then never read. PJ says Rashford and Casemiro are playing like zombies at the minute. Yeah, I can agree with that to a point. Casemiro went through the range of emotions today for me. He was excellent at certain things and absolutely awful at other things. It was a really up and down performance.
Yeah.
How many goals have we conceded because we sent Reguilon away? It's madness playing a right back at left back and a left back at right back or whatever they're doing at the minute.
Great to have Dennis Irwin.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we could get a Dennis Irwin regen, that'd be fantastic. Great to have stopped Liverpool getting 4 points this season. Yeah, that could cost them the title ultimately. It's what we're here to do, isn't it? Big Six record is good, but we lose. That's about the Rashford thing. I don't think we always lose. I think Ten Hag's Big Six record this year is actually quite good.
He's only lost one to Klopp, and that was the 7-0. And even that was
just the 7. We don't.
But even in that game, it was 0-0 after 40 minutes. If we had scored in that game first 40 minutes, it would have been a different game. And,
it's an interesting point actually, because what I've got written down next, we'll do boxes first, and I completely agree with this. Chris Sutton he may as well just don the Celtic jersey and just chant Celtic songs all the way through the commentary, because that's basically what he does.
I saw this thing. It was apparently Scotland that passed this hate bill that you can get arrested if you say certain offence things, and basically, obviously, when you think of the tribal nature between Rangers and Celtic, Catholic Protestant kind of thing. It's a lot of the sectarian. I've heard some of the songs and they're disgusting. If I'm being honest, but
am I right that bit off topic, but
yeah,
they're only letting fans back into the games next season, away fans for
it's
the
a
home
bit
games?
bizarre. I think it happened a couple of years back where I think Rangers stopped Celtic supporters, and then
And they did
Celtic
it as
goes
a
to, and then I think a game earlier this season or last season they let in like 500 Celtic fans at Ibrox, something like that, and then. But yeah, it is going to start again next. I mean, there should be away fans. Let's be. I know it's tribal and everything, but you know, I think Scotland is. I think even though we're part of the UK, they're a bit different in a way, in many ways. So it's a different kind of rivalry. Yeah,
we'll get back to the game. We're incredibly, we're going 16 minutes already, John. We're absolutely flying here. I've got excellent start from United, 8 minutes. So for the first 8 minutes, it was end to end, but I felt like we created enough. We kept the ball quite well. Passing was good. Put underneath, really quick passing and decision making helping. Couldn't really ask for a more positive start, especially if we got the goal. And then I've just put that in brackets. F will feel watching that first 10 minutes, we should have had a goal. And that's he probably would have thought at the 10-minute mark. I'm a little disappointed here that we've not taken the lead.
Yeah, and I think I don't think we had a shot in the first half. The only chance we had really was that Garnacho opener, which was offside, and I think there was one where Casemiro headed it across.
There's a couple that go across the 6-yard box that annoys me, actually.
So and Hoyland couldn't quite get there in time, but I think and I think that's a common feature. If you look back at the times we play Liverpool under Ten Hag's reign, that we do tend to start well at Old Trafford. The game last season, we started off brilliantly and we got a goal in the opening 15 minutes. We won 2-1. The FA Cup game, we know we scored after 10 minutes. We started that game well, and then we've obviously started well. Although they did have a couple of chances themselves, so it was kind of like the first 10 minutes dictated how the game would go. Obviously, the rest first off, especially after they scored, we weren't great. But I think that we could have gone one up in the first 10 minutes. I think we didn't test Kelleher. That's the one thing you would say. I think, and I just think that maybe some of the decisions when we were in front, we didn't quite make the right decision. I think there was one where Hoyland was through and Garnacho was to the right. I think Van Dijk marshalled him out and he kept hold of the ball, but by that point the chance had gone, kind of thing. So I think that just certain things in the first half where it was just like you gotta find your man, and you didn't quite find him. We were almost there, but it wasn't. It wasn't to be in the first half.
Yeah, and then I've got written down we had 64% possession in the first 10 minutes, and literally from then, it just started going downhill. So I thought after that point in the first half, 10, 15 minutes, we started to, the heads went a little bit, the heads went down a little bit. It looked like they were blowing a little bit. Liverpool is such a, I don't know, a freak team in terms of their ability to just constantly run, and they just don't stop. So I've got wonderful defending from Delo, cutting a ball out when they was 1-on-1. Liverpool were looking dangerous on the break, and I did put in brackets several ball bouncing their way from our players. It was quite lucky, and it kept getting them in. And then I made the point of writing here, Liverpool are starting to get control of the ball. The game slowed down now, and I think genuinely that helped Liverpool slowing the game down. Jarvis really, really helped in terms of control. They looked so much better when the game was slower. They were keeping the ball. They was making us chase. And I would say from then on to half time, we were lucky not to concede a couple, if not maybe three. There's a chance. It's a Sly from Robertson's cross, if you can remember. He sort of gets across his man, but chins it.
I had a couple of but I think wasn't that one where he had free space in the middle of
the box.
He had a couple in the first half. Sly.
And then we sort of, I've wrote down here that the possession completely changed coming up to half time. 43% possession going towards half time after having, what was it, 63. So we dropped off quite a lot. The first goal, we'll talk about the first goal. I actually thought there was a foul in the build up to them winning the corner, and that McAllister foul's gone at you on the halfway line. But we don't get the foul, which is fine. So the referee actually let quite a lot go in terms of 50-50s and stuff today, I thought. But again, set piece, poor marking. What did you make of it?
Yeah, we don't concede many from corners, do we? So,
no, yeah. No, not like it's a reoccurring theme.
No, it was just, I think it was it Nunes who won the header? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Nunes.
And I think unfortunately, it was Wan-Bissaka that was marking, so touched on the penalty. But yeah, he outjumped Wan-Bissaka for that. And then Diaz, why is he in that much space? I was looking at the replay and I was like, who's meant to be picking him up? While it's a different position on the pitch, it's not too dissimilar to the Cole Palmer one. It's like, who's picking him up? You know, and if you usually, I often think it was an outswinging corner, if I remember rightly. I think now usually it's rare that you score a goal from an outswinging corner directly. So usually, when your players heads it, usually it's gonna have to go to someone else potentially. So for me, if it's an outswinger, surely common knowledge is if there's a chance it might fall to someone who's in space. So I don't get why nobody was marking him. Obviously, we had 2 players on the post. We do hang on about 2 players on the post, but unfortunately, none of the, I think it was Rashford and Dalot, they couldn't do anything. And obviously, Onana, it was too quick for him. But it was a good finish, in fairness to Diaz. But I don't know. It was meant to be marking him. I don't know.
Yeah, it was frustrating for me because it looked like that's what they wanted to do. So when they highlighted the next corner, it looked like it was a tactic to zonal mark the box and man mark the edge of the box, which it was leaving really big spaces in the middle. But all round, considering how
maybe it was a reaction to the Cole Palmer one where they're like, we can't mark the edge of the box, and then it's like,
well, you could see Kobe Mainoo saying to Harry Maguire, what am I doing? Like, who am I marking? Who am I supposed to be picking up? Because I wonder whether he thought in his head, oh, was that my man? It didn't look like it was. It just looked like it was.
The difficult thing is at zonal marking, because I noticed the next corner they got, which was on the other side by the tunnel. And I was watching the marking where these players weren't being marked, and then they make a run. And I think the problem is with zonal marking is it's not always. I think if you remember England at the 2018 World Cup, they exploited the man marking because we had the line and then they split. And that's one of the arguments against man marking. The problem with zonal marking is you mark in particular zones in the box, but it only takes a clever striker or whoever to find, right, where's the space? Because usually if you're zonal marking, there's a space somewhere, you know, whether that be back post, front post, middle, you know, you mark the danger zones. Usually there are some players who have 2 jobs on corners. This is why the zonal marking is very complicated. And it means, like, if Mainoo's saying who I'm meant to be picking up, you got to be aware what position you got to be in. I don't know who's meant to be. This is the problem with zonal marking. You look at Diaz, who's meant to be marking him?
I don't like the 2 people on the post, to be honest. Normally one person on the post is enough, and it's normally the post that you, if it's an out swinging, you go for the left post. If it's in swinging, you go for the right post. So I don't get it. But the England one was called Southgate. Love training.
I'm not a fan of Southgate, by the way. I don't want him as United manager. But I'm just making the argument for man mark. But what I'll make a point is about Ten Hag. It's confusing the way because he sets up to man mark on the pitch
Yeah.
when it's open play. Yeah, when it's corners, it's zonal marking, which I found a bit bizarre. So this is I get the idea marking zones, but there are certain players you must target. And you gotta make sure that every area is covered if you zonal mark. If you don't, you allow players like Diaz to get on the end if it drops.
Well, I think one of the problems was they were so busy, so worried about Virgil van Dijk, they forgot about some of the players. So moving on from that, I've got I put here straight after the goal, Diaz pulls back Dallo, a smaller foul than what happened to Garnacho, but no free. This one was a free kick and Garnacho, and one wasn't. No consistency.
Yeah.
So I was obviously upset at this point. So Carragher and Neville was talking about shots against, shots, and he was mentioning it, and it actually frustrated me a little bit up to this point, I must say, because Liverpool had 9 shots by this point. 7 of them were just hit and hopes. So I get you can criticize Ten Hag and you can criticize the players for being a bit open and allowing some shots. Some of these shots were just, I'm going to smash it, and it's going over the bar, and Onana's not worried, etc. And it was strange to, like, at that point, I'm like, oh, they're just going after that stat because we've conceded a lot of shots lately, so it's an easy target. But I thought in that particular part of the game, they were just hitting hope shots. They'd had the Szoboszlai one that Onana had saved, and the goal really that had caused the biggest issues.
I think that's the thing with these shots. I mean, look at Brentford. We conceded far more. We conceded far more chances than what Villa did yesterday to Brentford. But Brentford scored 1 against us and conceded 3 against Villa. So and we conceded 1. So it's a bit like, I get Ten Hag's point about, number of shots. It's not the shots you concede; it's the goals you give up, basically. So
the worry is the position on the pitch in which we're giving the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, listen, Liverpool should have been scored more than 1 in the first half. Szoboszlai, that chance he had in the first 3 minutes, he should bury that. He had that other chance. Salah had a chance. They did get several opportunities.
So been at least it's good that you said that. So I just want to we'll come back to PJ in a second. I'm just going to leave that there. But before that point, the shots were sort of hit and out. But after that point, I've got good chance for Salah after Mainoo gives the ball away. Poor finish. Okay save. Then Onana pushes a couple of shots away for no reason when he should save them. Then Núñez gets a chance, and I've wrote here, they're starting to get more dangerous. Another huge chance for Salah. The lads are struggling to perform for more than 20 minutes. But in this, and this is why I've left PJ's comment up here, I agree that it's a bad stat when you look on the face of 0 shots. But there were moments in that half, in the first 10 minutes, and there's a particular moment where Casemiro crosses it across the 6-yard box, and Kambwala and Højlund are in there, and we really should be. It's a really good chance, and it doesn't go down as a shot on the target, and it doesn't even increase our XG because no one got shot away. But if we had Ruud van Nistelrooy, let's say, or even just an attacker that can really, really finish, a born finisher, that's a tap in for them from a yard. Haaland would be on the end of that to tap in. And it would be 1-1.
Harry Kane would.
Yeah, Harry Kane would. And I think, I'm not having a dig at Højlund, by the way. I think a couple of years he'll be in that position. But we've got to be taking those chances. And I saw today from several of the players, not just Rashford, not just Garnacho, not just Højlund, where they didn't expect the ball to come. So they didn't really make the run, if that makes sense. And it's happening a few times. So we need to think. And then I've got Núñez smashes into Garnacho, free kick Liverpool, Mank referee, I'm told. I just thought that was mad. He literally comes flying into Garnacho and he gets free kick. And then we've got the same story. We're thinking, you tell me if you agree with me here, John. Rashford, Højlund and Garnacho had stopped chasing back defending. And that's where a lot of the space was coming from.
Yeah.
We'd stopped defending from the front. And I think that's been a problem all season. So we start well because they're a part of the whole group defending, and they start to just break off a bit as they get tired mentally. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think and there was one instant, I think one of the chances, I think it fell to Nunes or Diaz. I think the shot was blocked, and that was around half time or 45 minutes. Rashford lost the ball on the wing near the penalty area, and it led to, I can't remember if it was Nunes or Diaz who had the shot, but it was blocked. And it was just kind of like, it's hard to work out Rashford at times because I agree with Garnacho. He does all, he's learning and that. Whereas with Rashford, it's because he didn't start midweek.
Should have more fire in his belly.
He ought to be fresher than everybody else in many ways. But I think this press, I think it's hard because I think Højlund does. He could work in a press, but the problem is the team doesn't press. We know Bruno can, but sometimes a bit of a one-man band at times, and it's a little bit reckless. I think Højlund's the type who can put pressure on the other team.
As long as everybody else is.
As long as everybody else does. But you got to do it as a team. And, they say you go for the best teams, your goalkeeper's your first attacker. Your number 9 is your first defender, And
by the way, at points, Onana was playing right back in that first half. Absolutely mental.
Yeah, and yeah, I know. But I just think it's, they did start to tire. I think in a way you can understand Garnacho a little bit because he is young and he's playing a ridiculous amount of minutes. And we did play 3 days ago when he was probably our best player with 2 goals the other night. But you got to sustain that level of pressure if you want to be the best. Rashford, I don't know. I mean, he came on as a sub on Thursday. He played half an hour, whatever it was. He came off just after the hour mark today. I'm just wondering.
He's injured, so he picked up an injury. Yeah, and
that's what I'm thinking.
It annoyed me a little bit because he said he was injured, and the ball went out, and he said he was injured again, and the ball went out again, and he was literally screaming at the bench saying, "I need to be subbed," and you could see that he thought there was going to be a goal or something happened, and we saw it with Varane the other day. We need to be quick. The players need to be ready. Anthony obviously was coming on and he was getting ready, but you've got to be quicker to do that. But yeah, I'm wondering if he's played with a bit of a niggle and he's not been at his full best. Does he need resting? And we'll have this conversation a little bit later because I want to talk about Camboire a little bit because I've been saying stuff for quite a while about playing kids, etc. But we'll have that discussion a bit later. So something that annoyed me in the first half, I'll be interested to hear people's views in the comment section on this one in particular as well. There's a tackle by Camboire on Diaz, and it is an absolute fantastic tackle. And Diaz falls to the floor. He's holding his leg. And there's a little period where the ball's being passed around a little bit, right? And I was absolutely fuming when Casemiro kicked the ball out because, in my opinion, that shows lack of mentality. I'm putting the shoe on the other foot here. If Rashford was down, you think Andy Robertson's kicking that ball out? He's going for a sprint up that left-hand side, and he's going to cross the ball in. It just really frustrated me, and it's sort of, I think that's a poor mentality to have, and I think that Ten Hag needs to be drilling into the players that these are your biggest rivals. Whether we're title challengers or not with them is irrelevant. They are your biggest rivals, or they have been for the last couple of 5 decades. You don't do that. And then the annoyance for me was you knew he didn't need treatment. You knew he was just staying down for the sake of staying down. So you've got to have a bit more of a shithouse mentality, if that makes sense. And it was disappointing to see from the players that they did that. So yeah, what did you make of it? Did it annoy you, or was it just like
it annoyed me, but it didn't surprise me. It just, I think this is the problem. You got to factor in that it was, and that we talk about the Conor Bradley tackle. It's a United Liverpool game. You want to see these tackles, and it was a very good tackle. And he probably maybe a little bit over the top, but there's nothing wrong with the tackle. And he wasn't that injured. I'm often one of them. If a player's rolling around, they're clearly not injured. You know, like
I knew he'd refuse treatment as soon as they came on. I knew he'd refuse treatment, and I knew at that point why did we kick it out?
I'm just wondering whether Casemiro thought we're under constant pressure. We need to get into half time. I'm wondering whether he thought maybe it's his experience thinking, let's take a breather just for a moment because we're under constant pressure here. Maybe that might have been part of his thinking. But that's the only way I can see any reasonable defence because it wasn't like a genuine attack was on. You know, we could have gone forwards, but automatically rolling around just to get to look at it. Yeah, exactly.
Possibly. We saw, I don't know whether some people in the chat saw the Spurs game. There's a moment in that game where James Maddison has a little bit of a strikeout at Yates, and Yates is sat on the floor going like this, doing a TV motion, and he's on a booking. I'd have sent him off for it. I mean, thought Maddison was quite lucky because he does have a little bit of a dig at him. But yeah, so the reason why I've starred this, NT, which you wouldn't be able to see, is every time they did a cutback, I was sweating bullets. I actually wrote another FIFA pullback. Good block from Dallo. This is getting silly now because the cutbacks are just getting on my nerves at this point.
Sabatsai had a couple of them.
Honestly,
he didn't have his shooting boots on today.
The cutbacks were just so constant. I was like, oh, he's going off. And then the last thing I've got about the first half is a bit where Dallo is battling Diaz on the side, and he gets beat, and he breaks into like a little jog to chase him back. And I was just frustrated at the mentality of that. Luckily, obviously, we got to half time. And it was, I'm going to star that from Franz. We'll come back to that because that will be part of the second half. So, and then half-time thoughts were just poor. After the first 10 to 15 minutes, we stopped playing. We looked tired. So, obviously, we got in at half-time 1-0, which do you feel like that was lucky? Do you feel like it should have been more?
Yes. Yeah, I think we rode our luck, definitely. But I think you could tell with Klopp, because I think when you go back to the FA Cup game, they let us off with some of the chances, didn't they? Yeah. To bury us, especially the 5. You know, there were times where it was 5 versus 2 or 3 or whatever. And the same happened today, not just in the first half. And it was just like they did let us off the hook. And I think that was Bar Klopp's annoyance, wasn't it? That it was only 1-0.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, John, because my brother texts me. Let me get the text up so I don't misquote him. It was on yesterday. Did he put? He basically put these situations where we 5-on-2 and the amount of chances we let you off with was ridiculous. We've been doing it all season. So obviously he watches Liverpool every single week, and he basically highlighting that it's stuff that they've been doing all season long. And they're still top. Well, they're second now, aren't they? Joint top goal difference. Yeah. So I think he's quite frustrated at the chances that are being missed, which is a shame. Quite surprisingly, I ain't got a lot writ for the second half because I actually got distracted by watching it instead of writing. The first thing I wrote for the second half was Kambwala and Maguire making saving tackles right at the start of the first half. We don't seem to have an attack. Quickly followed by, and literally this is what it looks like. It says attack doesn't exist, full stop, and then it just says, "Wow, Bruno."
Yeah, well, I think Rashford did have a good run just a minute or two before, and he just pulled the back. Then he lost the ball, and it was a bit. I think he had to go oil maybe for being in the.
He did, yeah. He had to go about the run. He said, he was obviously saying the run wasn't there, but I feel like he should have released the ball quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And so I actually thought we started the second half reasonably. We had a bit of impetus, and then obviously the goal. That's Bruno's goal. It was obviously a tremendous finish, but it was echoes of a certain slippy moment, wasn't it?
It was. It's a moment they're going to look back on.
Denver Bar took it on to go on going on goal, but Bruno just fired it first time, and I didn't think Bruno had a particularly good game, if I'm being honest. But it's full credit to him if it doesn't go and you're having a go at him. But fair enough, he made the most of that mistake, and it put Liverpool's backs against the wall. Then
Absolutely not. It's a no, I'm afraid. Can we take Kobe Mainoo? I love it. So I think the goal was just fantastic. I spoke to Barry briefly before the show, and I really wanted, and it sounds weird to say, but I wanted Kelleher to just flick it with his hand or something, because he would have been sent off because he was outside of his box, and it would have been interesting. I don't know if it goes in, if he still gets sent off or what, but he was when he makes the dive for the save, he's a good 5 yards outside his box. If he touches it, it's 100% a red card. So but yeah, the finish was, it was a weird technique when he hit it, because he stops the full swing of the foot. He sort of punts it, trying to control the shot better. And you would see so many players in that situation panic and miss, but it was such a good finish.
I think because I'll touch upon Bruno, because I think there were opportunities, and that going back to that question, that comment before, 0 shots in the first half. There were times Bruno in particular was guilty of giving the ball away when Rashford. I remember there was one after 38, 39 minutes, and Rashford was on the left, and he had a chance to pass out to him, and he found Bradley, and that was the one time in the game where I was like, "What the bloody hell are you doing?" It was clearly on, and Bruno just kept giving the ball away ridiculously, and I'm just like, if he continues like this, you're gonna have to take him off. He's not helping the team, but we all know with Bruno, we can be having a terrible game and he just makes something happen out of nothing. And yes, it was a gift from the Liverpool defender, but he had so much to do. It's not a guaranteed goal.
And, I think my brother said that. My brother said it was a bit of a gift, but I agree it is a gift, because it's a hospital pass. We used to call them hospital passes in the day, because you just don't pass across your defence like that. But not many players, take that on the first time, and B, finish it from there.
Ironically, that's where the press worked.
Yes, it came from
the press,
Bruno,
actually, because he moved forwards, and a lot of the time you probably take a touch, because he could have taken a touch, but I think when it fell to him, he probably thought, I'm going to go for it. And I think the way he controlled it, because it starts out left and then it went right, so he got to control the ball, and I
think that's why he did the punt motion.
And I think
not a
because he knew Kelleher was, as you say, so far off his line to the point where he was out its box, he only just needs to get over him and control it. It's about the control. There was a similar goal, I think, if you remember, Sporting Lisbon, I think it was at Arsenal last season, where it was a similar goal but that was much higher, whereas Bruno, he just simply needed to get it
over the keeper's hand. Well, in fact, he didn't. It'd have been a red card, but he did. And then I've put here, momentum is key. We need a second. We don't deserve to be in it, but we are. And then huge chance for Casemiro, but he just couldn't get his boot to Rashford crossing. So it's the one time that Rashford hit the byline and crossed it. Casemiro was so close to getting on the end of it. And I thought, here we go. And then I thought, madness of a game. It should be 2-1. Liverpool have got a 5-on-2. Nunes doesn't shoot. Pure chaos, absolute chaos football. Why didn't Nunes shoot from there? Decision making.
I think this is a thing. I think Nunes has improved this season, but there's still that element of
chaos.
Yeah, that element of he'll still do the wrong thing from time to time, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but he's just, it's like when he gave the ball away for Rashford's equaliser in the cup game. He has improved, and I think I've noticed with him, he does get back and try and win the ball. So no, I think that's kind of thing. I think it shows that Liverpool, Nunes has improved, but I mean, in many ways, he's Mane's replacement, isn't he? And
Yeah.
I think he's not quite replaced. It's just that certain thing of he's a good player, but just that in those moments,
Yeah.
where you really need him. He scored some good goals, and it's like literally you've seen chances where he'll miss an open goal and then he'll caress a 20-yard side foot into the corner.
It's
He's
like
just
when he doesn't have to think,
yeah.
he's a much better finisher than
Yeah,
when he has to think.
he's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much like, even though they're different in hindsight, he reminds me a lot of Raheem Sterling in many ways. In that
Yeah,
Raheem
yeah. Better when he
Sterling,
doesn't have to
the
think.
quick instinct thing,
Yeah.
but when it comes to you've got to make a decision, you won't always make the right decision. So I think it was, but yeah. And I think that goes to your brother's point. They had several opportunities in the cup game, and they had chances today, and they didn't take
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
And I just think from this point three, it's an interesting size race between Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. But I mean, maybe Arsenal to a degree, but I don't think they're not. City and Liverpool, they're not particularly blowing away teams. It's like it's not the same City and Liverpool as 5 years ago.
No, they're just winning
Yeah,
routines.
they're just winning, but you don't. I mean, and the fact we've played them 3 times this season of or not lost a game, it's almost like you can still get at them in
Yeah,
a
well,
way.
you look at Man City's record.
Yeah.
Is Man City's win against Villa their first win against the top 6 side this season, isn't it? So they've struggled against the
They're
top 6.
beating us, but yeah, it's
Yeah, I don't think are we in the top 6.
I think after that,
Are we just in the top
I think
6?
West. Oh, that was a shocking decision.
Yeah, we are.
Wolves, yeah, that was a shocking decision with Wolves yesterday.
We'll talk about that later, John, because I want to talk about VAR with you a bit later. So, so that takes up to the 55th minute, and I've just got here pure chaos football, absolute chaos. No control from United. Liverpool have upped the control since the goal, so we just don't seem to be able to control games under Ten Hag. And I don't know whether that's his brand of football or just the players he's got, if that makes sense. But yet again, Rashford hit a good ball in. I think it was around about the 60th minute. It was a really good ball into the box and just no one could get on the end of it. If you have, and this is what I mean by sometimes players don't make the runs. I think Højlund sometimes gets annoyed that the passes don't come for 60 minutes. And then when it comes, he's not ready for it. And we've got to show better anticipation thingy. And then again, Dalot with a chip ball over the top to Fernandes. I thought he was offside. He wasn't offside. Couldn't get the contact to it. But these are big chances, if that makes sense. I think Fernandes might have time to even take it down and shoot, but he tries to get it on the volley. And it's just little things like this. So that won't go as a shot on target. It won't go as an XG chance, but it was a big chance in the game that was missed. And then I've mentioned, obviously, 63rd minute, Rashford asking to come off. And then there was a, what was it? Diaz fouls Højlund on the break and he didn't get yellowed, which I think Liverpool are one of the best teams in the Premier League at doing that, if not the best team in the Premier League at doing that. And that is fouling players quickly and not getting yellow cards instead of waiting to foul them and getting yellow cards.
Fernandinho.
Oh, yeah. Rodri's very good at it as well.
Yeah, but
yeah. And then we've got Arsenal's away record. We'll look at that in a minute, PJ. That looks quite interesting. Then Kobe Mainoo. Got to talk about Kobe Mainoo. Best bit of play of the game from United for me. Casemiro doing random bicycle kicks in the centre circle. Mental. And then Wan-Bissaka, good play in the wing. Turn and finish. Tell me about it, John.
Yeah. He's special, isn't it? And I'm just going to Barry's point where he tried comparing Bruno Fernandes with Beckham's goal at Wimbledon. It's rare a goal from the heart, from close halfway line is not the best goal in the game.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think it's just perfect. And a lot of people compared it to the Makeda goal.
The turn wasn't the same, but the way the way he did, he wasn't looking, he just set it out.
And Makeda was, I think he slits, which allow him to get elevation on it. Because otherwise the keeper might have said it. Whereas with Mainoo, it's just pure control. And I think, and ironically, the Makeda one was 15 years ago this week, actually. So it's the same, it was 5th of April 2009. So, yeah, it was. There's no better goal than that. You shape it 2 or 3 yards outside the post, it just bends in the top corner. The keeper can't save that. You just pure talent, and and it's a shame what happened after, but it was a goal save, and of course it's his first goal at Old Trafford, and he couldn't have picked a better time to score it against Liverpool. But
I'm going to copy and paste what I wrote. That is what I wrote. This is what I wrote on my thing. But Kobe Mainoo, what a goal! Absolute chaos. It's just mental. And then I've sort of skipped from 68 minutes to about, it must be 79, where I've not written anything other than, and this is why I left this one up and said I would come back to it, from Franz. Why doesn't Garnacho pass to Højlund in the 73rd minute? These wrong passes keep happening while United leading in the final stages. Now, I don't know whether I was upset at the time when I wrote this, or it's just an observation I made. I put, let me find it. I thought Garnacho has turned on his greedy mode. Twice he could pass, but shoots instead. It's quite frustrating. And I'm not just going to label that a Garnacho. Obviously, I noticed it with Garnacho in that particular moment. But our strikers have had a habit of doing this season, which is when we get 2-1 up, 1-0 up, 2-0 up, they get a little bit greedy. The team goes out the window and sort of personal accolades start to come in. And I genuinely think there were moments after we got the second that we maybe could have got a third with a little bit better play. Did you notice anything similar?
Yeah, I think, and I agree, this is the point we're getting to. It was the same Thursday night. People say you didn't close the game out. Well, when did we score? I think, was it like the 6th, 7th minute on Thursday night when Garnacho posed 3-2 up? It was around, Mainoo posed 2-1 up. So it was around the same time in the game. But you look at it and you think, Chelsea are on the ropes.
Yeah.
Go and get a fourth. And it's same with Liverpool. That I know it's a tough game and you expect them to come back.
Momentum,
they're not going to lie, but they're down. This is their season, and yes, you got to be defensively solid. You don't want to give away anything, which come on to the penalty. But you've also got to be positive. You're 2-1 up. They got to come on to you. That's when
they're chasing the title as well.
Yeah, exactly. They have to get a result. They have to. This is your opportunity to see it, to see it out. But also, you'll get opportunities to get a third. And I think this is where you're like, I do see some signs of progress with this team. You mentioned that we are getting chances, and this is the chaos that, like we've had bad days under Van Gaal and Jose where the football wasn't great. Yes, there are chaos in games. We're not seeing out games, but they're good games to watch for the neutral. We are involved in games, and you've got to factor that in that, yes, there is the chaos. There is the not seeing out games. Eventually that will hopefully come, but you've got to also learn when you're on top, you see out the game, even if you playing a big team. You've got an opportunity. You're at home. It might be a bit different if you're at Anfield, you're 2-1-0. But you're at Old Trafford, the crowd's up, they're under pressure. You've got to try and go for it. And, and don't play recklessly, but get the opportunity to get a third. You can really bury Liverpool,
Yeah, I'll make that as well. That's what, 7 points in the last week that we've dropped from winning positions in later in the game. I was looking at the table earlier on. If you add the 7 points on, we would only be 4 points behind Villa with a game in hand. So we sort of, this last week would be probably the point of the season we look at where, I mean, there's other games like the Fulham game and games like that, but you would look and think that week was massive in not qualifying.
We'll come on to Europe, but Villa have 6 games left. I personally think 70 points. I felt for a long time 70 points will get you Champions League this season. And Villa are on 60, I think. I mean,
Well,
we're on 49. I mean, we're not going to win 7 in a row, but
no. Well, I was looking at Spurs' fixtures, and
well,
Spurs have
Villa.
got Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City
And
all to play.
Villa have got Liverpool at home, got
Yeah,
Arsenal away,
yeah,
Chelsea at home,
all in close concession as well, isn't it?
Chelsea home. I think who else do they got? Yeah, but they drop points to Brentford. This is the frustration. We drop points, but Villa are also in bad
Yeah,
form.
it's just
When you
annoying.
think of
Like we
their
drop
drop,
form, and we drop points, then they drop
even if
points.
we had just won one of those games, like we're 11 points off Villa. If you win your game in hand, it's 8 points. Even if we won Chelsea or whatever, you know, the gap will
It's
be
5 points.
6 points,
Yeah.
5 6 points if you win your game, and so they can lose that many points. I actually think Villa might drop 11 points between now and the end of the season. The problem is we probably won't make that
Yeah,
11
that's what I was just about to say. They might actually drop the points, but are we capable of taking all the points? It's a bit up and down. So we'll keep going. I got to where did I get to?
Yeah.
There was a Kambala tackle in front of Klopp in which he got booked for. Klopp didn't even ask for it, but he got booked. I thought it was a good tackle. And then I don't know why I wrote this. I put Maguire deflection, nearly pooed my pants. So I think someone shot, Maguire deflected it, and it went to an honour in the end. But it's safe to say it scared me because that's what I wrote. Then this was interesting for me, John, and I've seen a little bit of criticism Ten Hag's way for this substitution, and I obviously didn't agree with the criticism in a way, but I obviously thought it was a bit of a brave one. Amrabat on, Garnacho off. What do you make of that?
Well, were we winning at the time? I can't remember.
Yeah, we were.
We were. Well, it's part of that seeing out the game, isn't it? And he probably thought
he said afterwards.
Out the game. Yeah,
he said afterwards that he didn't feel like Garnacho was at his best, and he wanted to shore up the midfield.
Which is fair enough, and I think when you get to that point, you do have the opportunity to get a third goal, but you criticise Ten Hag for making subs which didn't see out the game on Thursday, but then you criticise him now for taking a forward off.
Yeah, I personally I didn't criticize him for this one. I just put it's brave, but this is what I wanted to see from Ten Hag this season, to be brave. And I would have loved to see him be a little bit more brave and take Højlund off, who was a bit ineffective at that point, and put Ahmad on, who can run at players a little bit and break quick, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's what he did in the FA Cup.
Yeah. I personally would have, you could have maybe brought Garnacho off and maybe put. I don't think was McTominay not here today.
No, McTominay, I think it was against Chelsea. Goes into a 50-50 and he's overextended his knee. He might be out for a few games.
Okay, but I just I mean it would have made sense to throw Ahmad on because he hasn't played since that goal in the FA Cup. So for me, you could have maybe brought Højlund off, maybe.
The reason
you could have maybe brought Højlund and Garnacho off, but brought Ahmad on and Amrabat possibly.
Yeah.
Then you extend midfield. Then you got fresh legs. You got Anthony. You got Ahmad. Then so you still got.
Well, Bruno went right, didn't he? And but this is when I talk about being brave. I thought Bruno didn't have his best game. So why couldn't Bruno have been substituted for Mason Mount? Or do you know? He's just got to start being brave, and I think fans will get on board and back these decisions if he's being brave. Like the reason I think he left Højlund on was height at corners. We was conceding a lot of corners, and he brings a lot of presence. So I do understand it. But I just think what caused Liverpool a lot of problems in the FA Cup in particular was F just went mental. He's like, this is be all and end all. We're gonna have Bruno Fernandes playing centre-back, Ahmad's coming on, and Liverpool just didn't know what to do with it because it was not at all predictable. So unfortunately, we're going to have to move on to the penalty decision. Now, it'll be interesting to see some people's opinions on this penalty decision. I just want to point this out first. Maybe looking into it too much, but we're 2-1 up and a couple of players are smiling. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, with what the last week, I'm not confident in being in front at the minute. And we did talk about that NT yesterday. Liverpool have gained, I think it's 26 points from trailing. It would be 27 now, I'd imagine, in the last 20 minutes of game, something like that. So, yeah, that's a really good point. So what I've got written down is another ridiculous decision and an individual error from a player. What are you doing, AWB? Now,
yeah.
Was it a penalty, John? Yes or no?
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yes. So it'll be interesting to see what the comment section make of whether it's a penalty. Now, at first, I thought penalty, and I thought it was really stupid from Wan-Bissaka, and I still think it's a penalty because he gives the player enough contact that he's going to always go down. It's just a bit of a stupid tackle to make. But I just want to address that there is a back angle of it, and it very much looks like Wan-Bissaka misses him, doesn't get him, brings his foot to the floor, and then Elliott sort of, I call it a hurricane special, just dangles his foot, gets the contact, falls over. Now, in slow motion, it looks for the world that he knows exactly what he's doing, which the game's not played in slow motion. It is hard to make them decisions. But I do get why some people are now calling it a soft penalty, because I thought he cleaned him out. I thought it was like very, very clear. And it's not till you see the back view that was it. So let me know what you think in the comment section. But ultimately, did you think that Onana was going to save it, or did you think it's Mo Salah, it's going to be a goal?
Well, Salah has missed penalties, hasn't he? But I did think he'll score it. Same with Cole Palmer in the week, and no, it's just one of those things. But I think if I saw a replay, I do wonder whether Onana dived slightly early, possibly. Because I'd have to relook at it, but I'm wondering whether he dived before Salah got to the ball. That may have made Salah's mind up, possibly, but it's only a slight thing. I might have been talking rubbish. But
I don't know whether Salah's. I know exactly what you're saying, John, because I thought the same. It does look like he's going, but I don't know whether Salah's just fully concentrated on the ball. But it could be a good
possibly.
point.
It wasn't right in the corner, though, was it?
No, it was just safe, wasn't it? Because he sent it the wrong way.
It went the right way, but it wasn't right in the corner. So, I did think maybe Onana might have dived a bit early. But it's, to blame a keeper for not saving the penalty is a bit harsh, I think. But
I'm not blaming them. I'm just some goalkeepers you just think he could save this, and I've not got that feeling with Onana yet. Like I have in certain situations because he's gaining a lot of trust, but I think hopefully we see a little bit more from penalty wise.
I do, because we have had keepers that have problems with it. Like obviously De Gea wasn't great as even penalties. I remember the time we went out the FA Cup to Middlesbrough and Henderson, because I remember that shootout. Henderson wasn't great in that shootout because he kept diving early, and because I was near the Stretford end, and basically he kept basically about the first 4 penalties, 3 Brentford Middlesbrough penalties went the wrong way. I saw Henderson, and I thought, why is Henderson going the right way? Then I paid attention to him for the next couple of penalties, and he kept diving before the striker hit the ball. And sometimes you got to preempt.
You'll be brave sometimes.
But you've also got to be... but the fact that he was diving early, and it was criticism of De Gea, and I think this is issue. I do think Onana just dived very slightly too early, but
but the thing is that Salah's such a good penalty taker. You would think if I go early and I get the right way, I've got more chance of getting it. But I get it. To be honest, at this point, I was annoyed because it was silly for him to give the penalty away, but I wasn't sat there thinking there was anything unjust in terms of the scoreline. They probably deserved to be 2-2. They had a lot of chances. Yeah. I actually put underneath, it's chaos, it's madness. F can't control Wan-Bissaka's decision making there. it has to be better. So you can't blame him for that. And then we move on to the Diaz chance from 6 yards. There's a little push on Anthony, and it is for me a push. He pushes him under the ball, gets his header across the box. Diaz just blazes over. And that is a huge XG boost for Liverpool, by the way. A shot from inside the 6-yard box in the centre. So when the XG is a massive difference, it's that sort of reason why it shoots up. But I was watching the game like this as he missed. I know you watched the replay.
I think their XG was almost
3.79. Yeah. But that one in itself would probably be 1.2 because it's basically a goal from that position. Like I don't know if people saw the Forest game.
Salah had a similar chance when Onana. I mean, he was slightly more to the right, wasn't he?
Did you see the Chris Wood one?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh my life! Like Chris Wood, goalkeeper spills it. Chris Wood is a yard away from the goal, and for some inexplicable reason, he absolutely leathers the ball, and it hits the post and flies out, and it would have made it 2-1 to Forest. Is that honestly, if you get a chance to watch it, it is a shocking.
Well, it doesn't do us any favors, does it?
No. I'm thinking at the time, why are you not? He could have just dinked it, and then Spurs would have been 2-1 down.
Forest deserves to go down just for that.
Just for that miss, yeah. That's a really good point that Bestie's put up there because I want to come back to that. We're ticking on, so I better get quick. Then I put Casemiro with a really stupid tackle. Obviously, we mentioned that tackle earlier. Gave Liverpool a free kick right at.
Yeah,
I mean, we had the chance with Anthony just before that, but you give him a chance to win it. And I'll be honest, I put at the bottom, if you're honest, both teams could have won this game. I would say Liverpool would argue they had more chances to win it, but we had chances to win that game and we didn't take them, and we sort of shot ourselves in the foot with an individual error. But I don't think anybody can be too disheartened with the game itself. A 2-2 against a team going for the Premier League title, we wasn't embarrassed. I'll bring up this comment now, actually. So anyone who says the team isn't playing for us is crazy. They showed determination and heart today. And do you know what? I've questioned the tactics, the players, and I think that's right. I think they are playing for him. I mentioned it earlier. I think sometimes they get a bit tired and they mentally can't cope with what they're doing. My issue solely now is, can we get a brand of football where there's a little bit more control? Because our best games under Ten Hag have just been chaos, absolute chaos of games. And I messaged my brother afterwards saying the fact that you let the second half go into chaos affected you more than it did us, because we're used to playing in absolute chaos and giving up 20 shots a game and scoring on the counter. And do you know what I mean? So I think it's sort of not cost Liverpool, but they'll be kicking themselves. By the way, Klopp's interview at the end, we've already lost to Arsenal, and people will call Klopp salty for this, but that is top level mind games, because what he's done there is basically said there is no doubt Arsenal should win this game and put a little bit of pressure on Arsenal. Speaking on Arsenal as well, Arsenal's already record in 2024, scored 22, conceded 1. Arsenal just won't go away, will they? I thought they would go away. I genuinely thought they would fall away, and they won't.
They're going out.
Yeah, they're plodding along.
I think it's the case of. I mean, I have no idea who'll win the league, but I think with Arsenal it's like Liverpool in 2019. Sometimes you gotta go close before you win it. And Arsenal were close last season, and they probably should have won the league. Bit like us in '92, and ended up having success. Yeah. Sometimes you got to go close before you win it, and maybe that Arsenal have that extra character. I mean, their goal difference. You look at that. Who'd have thought they? I mean, their goal difference. City scored 4 at Palace, but their goal difference goes up by 2. Arsenal tricky game away at Brighton 3-0. You know, it's just
they're on a goal difference of 51, so it's quite high.
So,
my brother actually texted me saying, if we lose the title on goal difference, I'm never watching football again. And I was like, well, welcome to the club if that happens.
Oh, well, interesting. Didn't Liverpool lose they lost the league in '89, so Arsenal goals scored.
Oh my life!
Yeah,
Can you
because
imagine?
that was the infamous game in '89 at Anfield, final game. Because obviously, unfortunately, with the Hillsborough disaster, it
Yeah.
delayed a lot of Liverpool's games towards the end of the season. Their final game was Anfield. They played Arsenal. Liverpool were 3 points clear, and they had a goal difference of +2 more than Arsenal. Arsenal needed to win 2-0, and Michael Thomas scored in the last minute to give Arsenal the title. They had same points, same goal difference, but
So goes
Arsenal
the goal
scored more
scored.
goals, and that's
Wow.
at Anfield.
I was one.
Yeah, yeah. So
So I can't remember that well.
there is a bit of historical context, but tell us about I agree with you, but it's horrible to lose the league on goal differences.
See, I'm weird with this because we'll move on to the youngsters after this, but I'm just going to say about NT. I'm a weird one with this because I genuinely don't care if Man City win it. It does not bother me at all because there's no respect from me to Man City and what they were achieving. If that makes any sense, I don't sit there thinking, oh, well done, you've done that in a cracking way. Whereas if Arsenal were to win it, a little bit of respect there for the way they've won it. They've not done anything they shouldn't have done. They've built a team. They're going against the big boys. They play good football, and I think I'm in a different place. But I have the same sort of a marginal respect for what Klopp's done at Liverpool. And if Liverpool win it, it would annoy me more than if City win it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because of that little bit of respect. It's it's a strange one, but I think that's because of the era I grew up.
It'd be like ideal way for Klopp to go out from Liverpool's perspective, but I just think it's I think Arsenal they're just, but they've got a lot of tricky games that this is where when you talk about Champions League players, I don't think we will, and the points difference is ridiculous. I do honestly think we'll have to win all our remaining games, and I don't see it happen. If we were to, I personally think we could do it, because of the way Villa and Tottenham are, but there's a lot of games between Villa, Tottenham, Arsenal, City, and Liverpool that they've still all got to play each other, and we've only got to play Arsenal. So it's
we've got winnable fixtures for sure. Right, so winnable fixtures, John. I've said this all season. Okay, if the players you're playing aren't doing it, play some kids. So we're going to talk about one kid in particular, and it's not going to be Kobe Mainoo today. It's going to be Willie Kambwala, who I thought was excellent. We've said ourselves on this channel. So John Hoffman said play the youngsters. Yeah. Now I'm not saying litter the game with youngsters. I'm not saying play every youngster in every position. But what Kambwala did today deserves to start the next game alongside Maguire, in my opinion. And this is, I've heard several times, like it's hard to drop them in the big games. Why? Why is it hard to drop them in the big games? They're at Man United for a reason. They've been signed for a reason, or they've come through the youth. Like Amas today was on the bench, so shout out to him as well. And Bestie with another good comment here. Don't forget, F started 3 teenagers and a boy just out of his team against one of the best teams in the league, and that should be praised because. And this is where, if we lost today, if we end up going to lose that game 3-2, but we perform in a way that's we've not taken a 7-0 thrashing, and you can sort of see what they're trying to do on the pitch, and it's absolutely fine by me if you build into something. What I don't want to keep seeing is switching centre backs constantly and getting them all injured, and then only going with that because we have to. I hope that pairing starts the next game. Is it going to win the next game? You don't know, but they deserved a chance to play because he played so well. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, definitely. I thought him and Maguire were very good today. I thought their partnership, they were very their once is getting Liverpool's faces, which is what you need. You need positive. I remember, I think it was the corresponding fixture last season, obviously we lost the first 2 games. I remember Martinez Like in the first minute or so, he literally barged Salah off the ball, saying like,
No
and it
respect.
kind of no respect. And I think there was a lot of that with Maguire and Campbell today. We mentioned that tackle that he made. He did make a couple of mistakes, in fairness to him, but it's like that one where he was through on goal, where Nunes was through on goal. He made a mistake, but he got back and won the ball, and it ended up with Onana. So it was pleasing to see he did his job. And I think he can be very proud of his performance. He put
I
in
agree
a lot of effort.
100% with NT here as well. So he makes the point that the performance was good, but we do have to show caution, and not everybody's Cody Mainoo can walk into it. And
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I think the reason why I'm so for it is because nobody else is really performing, and we got 26 different centre back partnerships this season. So if we can just settle on one just for 4 games to see how they get on, absolutely go for it, in my opinion.
Well, it's I'll make a point about that the under-18s yesterday,
I know.
and I mean play all of them, but there was one under-18 who made it 10-1 today with Mainoo, because I think at 18 years old he would still qualify to play for them. I think so. Imagine if Kobe played yesterday. Well, play the under-18.
My brother made a point actually on yesterday's stream. He was saying that a lot of Liverpool under 18s, there's like 5 or 6 of them that are currently with the first team. So their under 16s were a little bit weakened because of that. And I genuinely think that's what we need to do. Like we saw Amas come in today, and this is what I mean with the youngsters in Ten Hag. And there is a way about him, the way he uses the youngsters. I just wish he would be a little bit more reckless in one aspect, but then not in another. Do you know what I mean? It's so hard to get it right for him, but he definitely deserves praise for it.
I think that's what I mean. There's been a lot of talk about Klopp's kids, and they did do well in that cup final against Chelsea, and that maybe they were a bit naive for the cup game. But I just think, it's good to see Liverpool have those players coming through in that. But we do have players coming in. I mean, look at our bench. I mean, okay, players are injured, but that Armas and we are doing a lot of what Liverpool are doing, actually. I don't think the clubs are actually too dissimilar, actually. I think Liverpool, obviously, they're better than us. Their first team is better than us at the moment.
A better structure off the pitch as well.
Structure, yeah. But I think in terms of like the actual squads, their squad is slightly better, but they're in transition. They have lost Fabinho. They have lost.
That's even more impressive at the top, isn't it? That they've basically swapped 3 of the midfielders, and it's worked perfectly. There's a couple of comments here that I have absolutely love, and I've starred them for this reason because I love this man just as much as some people love Varane. So I love it. Truthfully, Maguire can be considered for Man United's player of the season. I don't know whether I go that far. I love it that you're saying it, but I don't know whether I go that far. NT's come back with the nominees being Mainoo, Dalot, and Maguire. I think that's a fair shout as well. The reason I'm bringing these up is I'm really happy that Maguire's not getting targeted for criticism anymore. So he's putting in the performances that are good enough that certain people, and I don't mention names and stuff like that, can't target him. And you can tell that that's a shift in his form, that he's just not targeted. There's no memes. There's a couple of things he did today that 16 months ago would have been turned into a meme. Even though as good as he was, there was a couple of just weird things that he does, being Harry Maguire, that would be turned into memes. It's just fantastic to see not only our own fans, but rival fans not being able to take the pee out of him because his form's well back. And some people never doubted him. Some people did. It was fair enough. I still maintain that if we're going to lift a trophy and move to that next level, we're probably going to need 2 new centre-backs.
Yeah.
With Martinez fit.
I think there needs to be an overall of the centre-halves. I mean, just look at all our centre-halves got injured this year. Even Maguire, he was fit today and he did well, but he has missed.
Yeah, I think I did some research on this, John. Varane has missed 6 games this season. Maguire's missed 6 games this season. Wan-Bissaka's missed about 9 games this season. The defenders are quite high up in terms of games missed. It's an interesting one.
Yeah,
Dalot for player of the season?
I think it'd be up there. I think
Yeah, NT says my
Mainoo
slight bias for Academy products.
will be up there. I think.
He definitely
I
will.
think Mainoo's probably the one that you'd say has exceeded expectation. I would say out of everyone. I think he's probably the one who says he's had a better season than
I
what we
wouldn't.
were
It's going to be
expecting.
weird, this, but I wouldn't say he's exceeded expectation.
No,
but he's lived up to the hype, and not many players can do that. So there was this hype. You think about preseason when he got injured, there was this hype that Mainoo coming back into the team would be a really positive thing, and it has been. He's lived up to that reputation that he built himself. So you can't really say much more than that. But we did say we was going to talk about player of the season on a.
I think interesting. There's one I wouldn't make him player of the season, but
over yet.
I think the other. But what he has done, Garnacho, I think he's at 31 straight starts.
Yeah, that worries me though.
Yeah,
it's impressive, but do you not think he needs a rest?
Well, I think
we're in danger of running him down a bit.
Does it show how bad the rest of the team is, or does it show he's been consistent? I think he's been inconsistent at times, but he has forged his way. He's made sure that he's a starter in the team, which is what
100%,
which you would have asked for. So I personally think that while I wouldn't say he's played the season, I would say he's gone from last season impacting games off the bench to now he's not impacting every game, but he's impacting some games from the start. That's what I would
you can
say.
see the player that he's going to turn into as well if he keeps on that trajectory. It's not all bad news. We've had a tough season, but it's not all.
I don't think it's as bad
terrible.
as what people. I don't think it's as bad as what people make out. So I know we've.
Well, this is what I mean. If we can see these shoots of recovery in Garnacho, in Mainoo, in players like Kambwala coming through, if he can stake a little, because I'm not saying Kambwala should be a starter forever, but just give him a run to the end of the season. And then if we get a new centre back in, maybe try and find a good loan for him, but give him a platform to show that he's good enough at this level. Where was it? Someone mentioned Elanga doing really well at Forest. And that's what I mean. Sometimes I feel like players don't get the best chance and they're shipped on before we get to see if they could actually make the grade. Not every player is going to make the grade. We know that. But yeah, I was impressed with most of the players today. I still think there's that element of chaos in the midfield. And I genuinely think that comes from sometimes maybe the attackers don't defend as a team and we get a bit split. But hopefully they can fix that, because I don't think Ten Hag wants to play this chaotic football.
I think this is a thing with the chaotic football, but we're very much in game. I think if there's one improvement on last season, we're not getting absolutely battered in games. We did lose games 6-3, 7-0, 4-0 kind of thing. There were some games where we had really heavy heats, whereas now it's chaos. We just don't know what we're going to get. But you're going to get a chaotic game, and for a neutral, it's an entertainment game. It's not going to be, you can't continue with it long term. You definitely can't. But you do see some green shoots. We're involved in every game we play. We might, there's a 50% chance we'll win it or lose it.
It's just been a mental season. It really has. It's been a mental season.
It symbolises where Klopp was in his first year or two at Liverpool. That's where we're at. Its games were chaos. But eventually you got the stability. And this is where I don't know what's going to happen. I'm beginning to think we might actually keep him, because I don't think there's an obvious person to replace him. And I think that some of the reports this week, I just think just hold your nose, see how it goes next season, get a proper structure in, and then see how we go from there.
Yeah, but, I said yesterday on the stream, I think the FA Cup is massive for him. If he doesn't finish in the Champions League, say fifth get Champions League and we don't finish in the Champions League and we get knocked out by Coventry in the FA Cup, I think that's writing on the wall for him. However, if we get to the final and say lost to City in a competitive game, I think they'll probably keep him.
I
But I
mean,
do think the FA Cup will be
if
big.
we win the FA Cup, let's say for argument's sake, we win 7 league games this season. Let's say if we win 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 7, and we miss out on by 2-3 points. Let's say and we win the FA Cup. At least you've had a good end to the season then.
Yeah, he's got to go into the summer in a positive note.
But
yeah.
For me, if I was if I was saying you got to see this as a positive point. You play Liverpool twice, you beat them in the cup, you draw with them, you draw them in December. You've not lost to them in 3 games, and that shows character. That does show character, and I think you just got to take that and try and win every game possible, and see where it takes you. That's all we can hope for.
We just need to see some of what we've seen in the Chelsea game and the Liverpool game, where just a little bit more control. I'm going to put this up one more time, so please like and subscribe. Obviously helps us massively when you do. I made a new banner because I broke the other one, so I couldn't put that up there yesterday. It's quite funny. We'll cover NT's Southgate comment here, and then we'll call it a day because we've done really well. We've had an intimate John and Dan session. Southgate links do worry me. If F4 Southgate, then there's no choice to be made. I agree. I stuck up for Southgate, saying that I think he's overly criticised as the England manager because he's achieved things that other England managers haven't. However, I wouldn't take him at Old Trafford. No. If the choice is Southgate or Ten Hag,
there's no job offer for United's job. There is at Liverpool, though.
Yeah, you can go to. I mean, I hope Liverpool get Gerrard.
I
see that.
I think they wanted Alonso, but he's staying put, isn't he? So
Alonso's. I'll say it now. I'll go on record. Alonso is going to Real Madrid, more than guaranteed at the end of next season. I can just see it with the team that they possibly could have at that point as well. It's like a FIFA dream. Honestly, it's madness that they might be getting that guy from Bayern Munich, Alphonso Davies, just to name one. But yeah, I think we've done quite well there, John. We've rinsed an hour and 27 minutes. Obviously, NT and everybody in the comment sections have been absolutely excellent again. We will be back on Saturday. When do we play? Is it Saturday?
Yeah, it's 5:30, isn't it?
Is it? So we will probably be back on Thursday with some kind of preview show. Who are we playing next?
No, it's the FA Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, and then
we play Burnley. Then it's Sheffield United and Burnley, isn't
Sheffield
it?
United, that's the one I was looking for.
We do have a bit of an opportunity. I mean, Bournemouth lost to them in December, but I think they are starting
just lost to Luton.
Yeah,
just lost to Luton. Yeah,
and then we got Burnley and Sheffield United in the league, which so typical Chelsea. They beat us, and then they concede a goal in stoppage time to equalise.
I'll be honest. I did see that come up, and I did have a wry little smile to myself.
And they drew last week to Burnley. I mean,
what I was saying about Chelsea yesterday is United are the only team that could lose from that position, and Chelsea are the only team that could lose from that position as well. We've got, I'll tell you what, it's Bournemouth next week. It's Coventry the week after. Is it? Yeah. Bournemouth next week, Coventry the week after, because the Coventry game's 2 days before my birthday, so that's an interesting one. So yeah, we've got Bournemouth Saturday. Yeah, Saturday at 5:30. So we'll be back on Thursday, obviously previewing that show. That's obviously going to come back and haunt me because I said Dominic Solanke is the worst striker to ever live in the summer, and he's gone on a run of playing like Haaland, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. We're going to shoot off there, and we'll see you on the next one.